You ever have someone say something to you that felt wrong in the moment, but you couldn't explain why? Like the words themselves were fine, totally normal even, but something in your gut went cold, and you couldn't figure out what to do with that feeling. So you let it go. You moved on. You told yourself you were overreacting. That was the trap. Because a gaslighter doesn't attack you with obvious cruelty. They don't need to. They have something far more effective. They have a set of phrases so ordinary, so everyday, so harmless sounding, that you feel ridiculous calling them out. And while you're standing there second-guessing yourself, they're rewriting your reality, one sentence at a time. Most people say, just trust your instincts. Wrong. By the time these phrases are being used on you regularly, your instincts have already been tampered with. That's the whole design. By the end of this video, you're going to recognize every single one of these phrases the moment they come out of someone's mouth. You'll know exactly what's happening beneath the surface, and you'll have the exact words to shut each one down without losing your cool, without starting a war, without giving them the confusion they're counting on. I'm going to show you 6 gaslighting phrases that sound completely harmless until it's too late. We're going from the ones you've probably already heard 100 times, all the way to the most dangerous phrase of all. Stay until phrase number 6. Because that one doesn't just mess with your head. It goes after something much deeper than that. I know what it's like to hear these phrases and convince yourself they mean nothing. I spent a long time in a situation where certain words kept coming up. Always the same words. Always perfectly timed. Always just subtle enough that I couldn't make the case against them, until I started paying attention not to the words themselves, but to how I felt every single time I heard them. Drained. Confused. Smaller than when the conversation started. That was the pattern. And patterns don't lie. So today, I'm breaking this down for you. Because once you can name what's happening, they lose the ability to do it to you. Phrase number 1. I was just joking. This is the entry-level gaslighting phrase, and it's the one that gets used the most because it has a built-in escape hatch. The moment you react to something hurtful they said, they flip the switch instantly. Relax, I was just joking. And now, you're not dealing with what they said. You're defending your right to be bothered by it. Most people miss what's actually happening here. But here's what's really happening. The joke was never the point. Your reaction is the point. Picture this. You're in a group setting. Could be friends, family, coworkers. They say something about you. A dig at your appearance, your career, a past mistake. The room laughs a little. You feel it land, that sting in your chest. But you stay quiet because you don't want to make a scene. Later, just the two of you, you bring it up. You tell them it bothered you, and they look at you with that half smile and say, "Oh my God, it was a joke." Can you not take a joke? And now you're the one who's too serious, too sensitive, no sense of humor. And the thing they actually said, it just got a free pass. Here's what's really happening in their head. They knew exactly what they were saying when they said it. The joke was a weapon with plausible deniability built right into it. They got to land the hit and make you look unreasonable for calling it out. That is not humor. That is a calculated strike dressed up in a punchline, and every time you let it slide, they get bolder. So what do you say? Don't argue about whether it was a joke. Don't defend your sense of humor. Say exactly this, funny or not. It wasn't okay. Don't do it again. No anger. No lengthy explanation. Just that, said once. With complete stillness, because you're not asking for a debate. You're issuing a statement. And here's where it gets interesting. Because phrase number 2 is what they use when "I was just joking" stops working on you. Phrase number 2, you're too sensitive. This phrase is a masterpiece of deflection. 4 words, completely redirects the entire conversation. And it does something far more dangerous than just dismissing your feelings in that moment. It makes you start pre-screening your own emotions before you even speak. Most people don't realize the damage this phrase causes long-term, but here's what's really happening. It's not about your sensitivity. It's about conditioning you to silence yourself before they have to do it for you. Picture this. Something happens that genuinely hurts you. You bring it up, calmly, reasonably, and before you can finish your second sentence, they sigh. They lean back, and they say it. You're too sensitive. You've always been too sensitive. And something shifts in you. Because now you're not dealing with the original issue. You're sitting in the hot seat trying to prove that your feelings are proportionate, that you're not overreacting, that you're not being dramatic. And while you're busy defending your emotional response, their behavior walked out the door completely untouched. Here's the crazy part. You're too sensitive only works if you accept its premise. The moment you accept that your feelings are excessive, you hand them the keys. Because a person who doesn't trust their own emotional responses will always defer to the person who seems more certain. And the gaslighter is always more certain. That certainty is manufactured, but it works because you've been trained to doubt yourself first. Here's what's really happening in their head. They are not commenting on your emotional calibration. They are protecting themselves from accountability. If your feelings are the problem, their actions are never the problem. It's a diversion. Clean, quiet, and incredibly effective. So what do you say? Don't defend your sensitivity. Don't explain why you feel what you feel. Say exactly this: my feelings aren't up for debate. Let's talk about what actually happened. Plant your feet. Stay on the issue, because your emotions are valid data, and no one gets to audit them. Boom. But that's nothing compared to phrase number 3, because number 3 doesn't just dismiss your feelings. It comes after your memory directly. Phrase number 3, I never said that. This is where gaslighting shifts from uncomfortable to genuinely destabilizing. Because this phrase doesn't just dismiss what you felt, it denies what you heard, what you know, what is true, and it's delivered with such absolute confidence that your brain starts to glitch. Most people buckle here. They start replaying the conversation in their head, wondering if maybe they got it wrong. But here's what's really happening. They said it. They know they said it. And they're counting on your self-doubt to do the work for them. Picture this. They made you a promise. Maybe it was about plans. Maybe it was something they agreed to do. Maybe it was something they said about a person you care about. You held on to those words. You made decisions based on them. And now when you bring them up, they look at you like you've invented a story from scratch. I never said that. I don't know where you're getting that from. And you feel the floor drop out. Because you were there. You heard the words with your own ears. But their delivery is so clean, so absolutely certain, that a voice in the back of your head whispers, "What if I'm wrong?" Here's what's really happening in their head. I never said that is a scorched earth move. It doesn't just win the current argument. It plants a seed of self-doubt that grows for months. Every future conversation you have, you'll be slightly less sure of yourself, slightly more likely to second-guess before you speak. That accumulated self-doubt is a slow poison, and I never said that is how it gets administered. One drop at a time. So what do you say? Don't go to war over the memory. That's their battlefield, and they've already dug in. Say exactly this: I know what I heard. We don't have to agree, but I'm not changing my account. Steady, final, no volume, no fury. Just an unshakable anchor to your own truth. Because the moment you stop trying to convince them and start simply stating what you know, the phrase loses all of its power. And here's where it gets interesting. Because phrase number 4 uses the same technique, but expands it across time. Phrase number 4, you always do this. This phrase is a history hijack. It takes a single present moment and buries it under an avalanche of rewritten past. And it works because it sounds like legitimate feedback. It sounds like they've noticed a pattern, like they know you deeply. But here's what's really happening. They're not diagnosing a pattern. They're building a cage out of your history, and they're handing you the blueprint and calling it self-awareness. Imagine this. You call out something specific they did. Today, this morning, this conversation. And instead of addressing today, they pull out the archives. See, this is what you always do. You always turn things around. You always have to be the victim. You always make me feel like I'm wrong. And suddenly, you're not in today anymore. You're on trial for your entire history. For every argument you've ever had, for a pattern you didn't know you had until they just told you about it. And it is overwhelming. It is designed to be. Here's the crazy part. You always do this is never about the pattern. It's about the pivot. They don't want to talk about what happened today. So they make today about you, about your habits, your flaws, your past behavior. And while you're frantically searching your memory for evidence that you don't always do this, today's issue disappears completely off the table, vanished, never addressed. Here's what's really happening in their head. A gaslighter cannot afford to deal in specifics. Specifics have facts attached to them. Facts can be verified. Patterns can be disputed and distorted. Patterns are slippery, so they retreat into pattern language the moment specific accountability gets too close. So what do you say? Don't take the bait on the always. Don't start listing evidence of all the times you didn't do the thing they're accusing you of. That's a trap with no exit. Say exactly this. I'm not talking about always. I'm talking about right now. Stay here with me. Bring it back to the present tense, every single time, because the present is where accountability lives, and it's the one place they never want to be. But wait until you hear phrase number 5, because this one doesn't come in hot, it comes in soft, almost kind, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Phrase number 5, why do you have to make everything a big deal? This is the minimizer, and it's particularly toxic because it attacks not just your response, but your sense of proportion. It tells you that the very act of caring about something is a character flaw. Most people hear this phrase and feel embarrassed, like they're high maintenance, like they're exhausting. And that embarrassment is so sharp and so immediate that they back down before they even realize what they just accepted. But here's what's really happening. They're not commenting on the size of the issue. They're training you to pre-shrink your concerns before bringing them to the table. Picture this. Something genuinely important to you gets minimized. Maybe it's about broken plans. Maybe it's about a comment they made in front of other people. Maybe it's about something that's been building for weeks, and you decide to finally speak up. You've been careful, thoughtful. You chose the right moment. And the first thing out of their mouth is, why does everything have to be such a big deal with you? Said with exhaustion, like just having this conversation is a burden. Like you are a burden, and you feel it immediately. That shrinking sensation, that instinct to apologize for even bringing it up. Never mind, forget I said anything. And they nod, relieved, because that's the response they engineered. Here's what's really happening in their head. They know that if you stop bringing things up, they never have to change. Why do you have to make everything a big deal is not a question. It's a toll booth on the road to accountability. It charges you your self-worth every single time you try to cross it. And if you pay often enough, eventually you stop trying to cross it all. So what do you say? Don't minimize your concern to make them comfortable. Don't say, I know it's not a big deal, but. Say exactly this. It's a big deal to me. That's enough of a reason to talk about it. No apology in front of it. No softening. Just your right to have your concerns matter, stated plainly. Because the size of something is defined by how it affects you, not by how convenient it is for them to address. And if you thought that was powerful, phrase number 6 is in a completely different league. This is the one that doesn't just confuse you. It makes you need them. Phrase number 6, I'm the only one who really gets you. This is the most dangerous phrase on this entire list because it doesn't sound like an attack at all. It sounds like intimacy. It sounds like connection, like the deepest form of being seen. And that is precisely why it works, and precisely why it will destroy you if you don't recognize it in time. Picture this. They say it in a quiet moment. After a hard conversation, after you've opened up about something painful, they look at you with complete sincerity and say, you know I'm the only one who really understands you, right? Other people don't see you the way I do. You'd be lost without someone who actually gets you. And it feels like love. It feels like the rarest, most precious thing, being truly understood by another person. So you hold on to it. You hold on to them. But here's the crazy part. Watch what happens over time. Every time you mention a friend who gave you good advice, they find a reason why that friend doesn't really get you. Every time your family supports you, there's a quiet suggestion that they mean well, but they don't understand you the way your gaslighter does. Every time you start to build a connection with someone outside the relationship, a wedge appears. Subtle, gentle, but consistent. And one day, you look around and realize your world has gotten very, very small. And the only person left in the center of it is them. Here's what's really happening in their head. I'm the only one who really gets you is not a compliment. It is an ownership statement disguised as one. It is the foundation of complete emotional isolation. And it is built slowly, over months, sometimes years. Each repetition of that phrase is a brick in a wall they're building around you. A wall that keeps everyone else out and keeps you locked in. This is the most advanced gaslighting move because it makes the cage feel like a sanctuary. You don't even know you're trapped because the trap was built to feel like home. So what do you say? The moment you hear a variation of this phrase, you don't argue with it directly. You don't say that's not true. You do the opposite of what they're engineering. You reach out to someone else, a friend, a family member, someone outside the circle they've been slowly shrinking. And if they push back on that, say exactly this: the people who love me want me to have a full life, not just them. Let that land. Because a person who genuinely loves you will never ever try to be your only source of it. Never. And deep down, some part of you already knew that. Here's the real truth behind all of this. Every single phrase on this list, every joke that wasn't a joke, every accusation of sensitivity, every "I never said that," every history hijack, every minimizing question, every false declaration of being the only one who understands you, they all come from exactly the same place: terror. A gaslighter is someone who is so fundamentally terrified of being confronted with the truth about themselves that they have built an entire operating system designed to make sure that confrontation never comes. They don't do this because they're powerful. They do this because without it, they are nothing. A person who is secure in themselves does not need to rewrite your reality. A person who is confident in their own worth does not need to be the only one who understands you. Their phrases say everything about their emptiness, and absolutely nothing about your worth. Here's the plot twist. Once you learn to hear these phrases for what they really are, they stop landing. They stop stinging. They start sounding like exactly what they are: a frightened person pulling every lever they have to stay in control of someone they were never strong enough to keep any other way. And you will find yourself looking at them differently. Not with hatred, not even with anger, with something much more powerful than both of those: clarity. And clarity is the one thing a gaslighter cannot survive. You were never too sensitive. You were never too dramatic. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by someone who is too small to hold all of you. The most dangerous person to a gaslighter is not someone who fights them. It's someone who finally sees them. Pick one of these 6 phrases, just one. The one you've heard most in your own life. Use the scripted weapon the next time it comes up. Once. Watch what changes. Then come back and tell me in the comments, which of these phrases have you heard the most? And how long did it take you to realize what it actually was? I read every single one. Your answer could be the thing that finally wakes someone else up. If this video helped you see something you couldn't name before, hit that subscribe button. One click. That's it. And at the end of next week's video, I'll be giving a shout out to one subscriber. Could be you. Go show the world you're not someone who can be played anymore. You see it now, and you can't unsee it.